It's day 222 of being a girl. I'm in Washington, D.C., and I'm going to the White House to speak to the President of the United States! Normalize the bulge! We are normalizing the bulge! Women can have bulges, and that's okay!
Dylan Mulvaney, the trans TikTok star that we have covered multiple times on this channel, went to the White House, was invited by Joe Biden to talk about trans rights.
Mr. President, this is my 221st day of publicly transitioning.
God love you.
Thank you. I am extremely privileged to live in a state that allows me access to the resources I need, and that decision is just between me and my doctors. But many states have lawmakers that feel like they can involve themselves in this very personal process. Do you think states should have a right to ban gender-affirming health care?
I don't think any state or anybody should have the right to do that. As a moral question and as a legal question. I just think it's wrong.
I couldn't disagree more. Of course, the state has a responsibility to establish some guidelines regarding the medical transition, just like any other medical treatment. It's a little misleading because it's not gender-affirming care that you're talking about, Dylan. It is gender-denying care. And I wouldn't consider it care because it's not every single person who would actually benefit from the treatment that is a medical transition.
Sometimes they try to block you from being able to access certain medicines, being able to access certain procedures, and so on. None of that should be available. I mean, no state should be able to do that, in my view. So I feel very, very strongly that that you should have every single solitary right, including use of your gender identity bathrooms in public.
Thank you.
Who's you? You should have every right to access certain medicines and certain procedures. Who's you? No patient in the medical field should be responsible, 100% responsible, for their own medical treatment. That's why we educate doctors and therapists. They are, on a professional level, smarter than us patients. That's the entire reason why people with mental health issues seek help from doctors and therapists.
How can Democratic leaders be more effective in advocating for us trans people and our families and our lives and our opportunities?
I'm not being facetious when I say this, being seen with people like you. No, I mean it. I genuinely mean it. People fear what they don't know. And when people realize, individuals realize, oh, this is what they're telling me to be frightened of, this is the problem, people change their minds. People just don't know enough to know.
See, this is the problem. Dylan Mulvaney seems very innocent, cute, and fun. But what's not cute, what's not fun, or lighthearted, is the ideology that Dylan spreads, advocating for children transitioning, promoting offensive stereotypes about women and trans women, and most importantly, is ruining the trans and LGBT acceptance.
It's really important that we continue to speak out about the basic fundamental rights of all human beings. And the idea that what's going on, in some states, I won't get into the politics of it, but in some states, it's outrageous, and I think it's immoral. The trans part's not immoral. What they're trying to do to trans persons is immoral.
You mean trans people? It's not a basic human right to get access to the medical transition, especially if you're not dealing with gender dysphoria. It is insane that we're trying to normalize people who obviously are not trans going on testosterone, going on estrogen, getting their breasts cut off, or getting implants, whatever it is. Dylan, in my eyes, in my opinion, is a transvestite, and there's no problem with that. I like his outfits. He looks really good in a way. But he's not a transsexual. To him, womanhood is a costume. Maybe that's not a problem, But the problem is that he calls himself not a trans woman, but a woman. We are not helping the trans community by lying to them. We're not helping by saying, you're a real woman, you're a real man. No matter what your story is, you are trans. No doubt. And it's even wrong for me to question your identity. And most importantly, we're not helping the QIA plus community by blindly giving them hormones and surgeries they do not need.
I was walking around and everyone was staring, and I was like, oh, okay, what's going on? And they were all staring directly at my crotch. And I went, oh, I forgot that my crotch doesn't look like other women's crotches sometimes, because mine doesn't look like a little Barbie pocket.
Stop. Your crotch is not a woman's crotch. Especially when, and I only imagine that trans women are offended by this, in a way, but especially when you don't tuck your bulge, your penis. When you have no problem going out in public and showing off that you have a penis. Why?
Just normalize it. And I wear clothes like this, and we all just normalize women having bulges sometimes, because we're coming up on bikini season, baby, and you might see a bulge or two. So normalize the bulge. We are normalizing the bulge. Women can have bulges, and that's okay. We're not gonna stare at their crotches while they're wearing their little shopping shorts at the mall. Oh, thank you. Love you. Bye.
If you still think that Dylan is a real trans woman and not a man with some issues, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know why, but I think the word bulge is just so vulgar. It doesn't sound very feminine, that's for sure. No, we should not normalize women having bulges because it's not women who have bulges. I mean, yes, trans women have bulges, or trans women sometimes can show a little sign of a bulge because they can't help it, whatever the case might be, but we have to clarify that there's a difference between a trans woman and a biological woman. The last clip I'm gonna show you is from a woman on TikTok, and she makes excellent points about Dylan Mulvaney, and you're not going to regret watching this.
Since beginning his Days of Girlhood series, Dylan has cultivated a cult following mostly comprised of young women. And I understand the appeal. Dylan creates this air of innocence and purity behind his narrative, so it's seemingly impossible to criticize him without getting an onslaught of hate. He's developed this sort of character in which women feel they need to protect him and defend him from absolutely everything, and he can do no harm. And I think that really prevents us from critically analyzing the impact of what his channel is doing and the kind of narrative that is being pushed. Peddling the term girlhood, and in the Ulta podcast he did where his title was, I think it was The Beauty of Girlhood, and being a spokesperson for that experience or narrative and kind of co-opting it is very odd. And then ultimately taking that narrative, going to the White House and advocating for the transition of children, the sterilization of children through use of medications and hormones, medications that are also given to sex offenders in prison in order to basically chemically castrate them and sterilize them. We're saying that those can be given to children in order to affirm their gender. And having not even been transitioned to a woman or identifying as a woman for a full year, and yet you're still given a place at the Forbes Power Women Summit as a speaker, and accepting that role even after your narrative on social media has been saying that you're a bimbo and calling woman's vagina a Barbie pouch, promoting stereotypes and infantilizing women into these like feeble little girls. It feels a lot like wearing womanhood as a costume and making a mockery out of feminine stereotypes and profiting off of it.
Thank you, whatever your name is, and keep on rocking. You're doing a great job. Overall, I think it's really sad that it's people like Dylan Mulvaney that represents trans people nowadays, and I really hope that it will change in the future. Thank you all for watching this video. Leave a comment down below what you think, especially what you think about Joe Biden's answers. I'm really curious to know. And remember to hit subscribe, like this video, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace out.